Hello. It's not true. This is my latest return to the badminton court. The last time was at Centre Parks when I was the family champion. I am not a badminton player, but I have worked in and around the world of sport. I started my world in sport working as a strength and conditioning coach, and I spent around 10 years of my time working in professional cricket, where I used to say to the athletes, look, I've done the metrics, I've measured your body composition, it would appear that it's a little bit too heavy, you're eating the wrong food, you're not getting enough sleep, perhaps you need to follow a program. And they said, no problem, John, we will follow your program. I said, oh, fantastic. I was very naive. And I came back in about 8 weeks and I said, look, can we retest you? And when I retested them, guess what had happened? Nothing. In fact, if they'd stayed the same, it would have been quite pleasing. In fact, they'd got worse. So I suddenly realised that actually this work that I was doing as a physiologist wasn't about the body, I needed to work on the mind. So I re-qualified as a psychologist and I started working in that field at a business school actually called Ashridge, alongside a parallel career in the world of sport. So I'm very lucky now to have been to now 3 Olympics, 4 World Cups in a game called rugby. Any Americans here? Rugby's a bit like American football, but without the sort of health and safety dynamic that goes with it. I now work in cricket. I'm head of coaching at England Cricket, and that's a bit like baseball, but for intellectuals. And apologies to any of the Americans. And the work I do now is slightly different. I work in the field of neuropsychology and the transfer of learning and understanding for coaches. And I work in a slightly different way, and you'll see that means I'm not going to use any slides. But for me to work in this way, I need to ask your permission, and I'll explain why. It would be very easy to stand up here, show you some nice slides about character and its importance in terms of winning, and you can write some notes down and you'll walk away and hopefully you'll say nice things and that'll be jolly. But actually, that's the easy route. The real hard route is to challenge you and to push you quite a long way down the learning route. However, that doesn't get me good reviews, because the things you remember most are not the things that are nice and kind and lovely, but as I'm sure, as you all understand, the things you remember most are the things that are a bit shocking and a bit scary and not very pleasant. So I just need your permission now. Which way do you want to go? Do you want to go down the nice, lovely, let's tell you a few stories, strokey stuff, or do you want to do some real learning and be pushed a little bit?
Relearning.
So that's one person. What about the rest of you? Are the rest of you saying, no, no, just stand there, keep your distance, I don't want to get involved? Which way is it? Real learning. You sure? Okay, in which case I'll show you the work that I really do. In order to do this, I need to first of all explain how your brain works in very basic terms. It's much more complex than this, but I'll show you in basic terms. How your brain works, how we switch it on, how we switch it off, and then when you've got that, I'll talk about the effect of character. Before I do it, I sat where you're sitting at a conference, and the person stood up, they walked slowly to the lectern, they flashed their rubberized watch, you know, the one that works at deep sea levels, and they said, I am a winner. And if you're not, then you're a loser. And my reflection was, you're a bit of a dickhead. Because I've been, as I say, to some World Cups, and I've won and I've lost. And for me, if as a coach your only pursuit is winning, then I think you never really will. For me, the role of a coach is to understand the only way to win is to develop people, to give them the opportunity to maybe win and maybe lose. It's really easy to win. Just play against crap teams or crap opposition. That's the easiest way to win. But actually, the pursuit of winning starts a lot earlier and in a different place. And that's the journey I'm going to try and take you on. So the first stage of that journey is to understand how your brain works and then do some bits and pieces so that you really start to feel the lessons I have for you. Is that all right? So, lesson 1, how does your brain work? At the moment, your brain is doing very little work. And we're going to just show you quickly how one part of your brain can switch on and switch off really quickly. The part of your brain I'm going to have a go at is your vestibular system. It sits at the top of your brainstem, and whilst you're sitting there now, it's not doing a lot of work. Would you agree? So stand up. Activate your brain. Get it moving a bit. And as you stand up, your feet hit the floor, and you start to calibrate. You start to decide, okay, so where's the floor? It's an uneven floor for some of you. You calibrate, you take in through your senses, your eyes and your feel and your touch, and you calibrate through your vestibular system. You activate different muscles and you're balancing. Give yourself a round of applause. Well done. No one's brain is failing because no one's fallen over, okay? But you didn't come here to learn to stand up, did you? You came here to learn how to be great coaches and how the mind might work and the player and how you can develop it. Let's do some really tough work. Let's take away half of your data. Oh, that's a bit harder, isn't it? Because now you've taken away half the information that your brain needs to balance. But don't worry, your brain's quite crafty. Already subconsciously, some of you will put your hands in your pockets. Some of you will cross your arms. Some of you will hold on to the person next to you. Because what your brain is now searching for is more data. So let's give your brain more data. Your brain loves data. Rub your opposite ear. You'll find it a little bit easier to balance. If you tap your toe on the floor, it'll get even easier still. And this is strange, but if you do heel-toe, it's almost like standing up again. As your brain receives more data and calibrates it, makes it work, that's what the brain likes. But if you take data away, it stops working and it does silly things. So let's now show you how your brain switches off. So let's go back to standing on one leg. But this time, don't let any body part touch another body part. Those of you who've done this before know that you're now using your visual cortex, so you're focusing on one point, which is great unless you catch me in your peripheral vision, because as I move laterally, your brain goes, bloody hell, he's moving, this is harder, yeah? So you're now using your visual cortex. So I'm going to show you now very quickly how you can shut parts of your brain down. We're going to shut down your vestibular cortex input. Do you know how to do that? Yeah, just shut your eyes. So standing on one leg, no body part touching another, and just shut your eyes, see if you can carry on balancing. Is it harder? Fantastic. Have a seat. That's what I do for a living. And in this session, I'm going to try and help you understand how the brain works, how it speeds up, how it slows down, and why character in terms of brain function and performance and character and winning is absolutely critical. So, let's just think about the brain. Let's give you some sort of thing to hold on to. Make your hand, make a fist, okay? I want you to imagine that this is your spinal column, full of messages, sending it out to your legs and your arms and taking information from your eyes, perceiving it, and then sending it down your spinal column, okay? This bit at the top, your knuckles, that's your cerebrum, that's your upper cortex, very important, does lots of thinking, it can do language and maths. Now make a thumb inside your fist and wrap your hands round. This bit is your limbic system, your emotional cortex. And all I want you to be able to understand is three parts of your brain. The base of your thumb, we'll call that brain 1. This part here, your limbic system, we'll call that brain 2. And the wraparound bit at the top, we'll call that brain 3. Okay? So there's only 3 bits we need to worry about. There's lots more to it, but we'll have brain 1 here, very fast. Brain 2 here, limbic system. Brain 3, thinking. Okay? So all I'm going to do is very quickly outline what those 3 bits do, because they're essential to understanding how people are successful. Let's work on brain 1. It's the fastest part of your brain. It works 80,000 times faster than any other part of your brain, and it's outside of your conscious control. It's working now. It's called your autonomic nervous system. It's working now to keep you alive. It's regulating your heart speed. It's regulating your pupils. It's regulating your immune system. And it's doing all that without you thinking, because you're too busy with other stuff. If you don't believe me, just try this. Okay? What I want you to do now is if you had a sandwich out there, your blood sugar level is rising. Okay? This is not good. So we need to bring your blood sugar level down. To do that, you need to activate your autonomic nervous system and secrete some pancreatic insulin. Are you ready? Let's go. No? Regulate your heart rate, dilate your pupils, cause yourself to sweat. These are all functions outside your conscious control that are happening all the time in order to keep you alive. You don't have to worry about it, it'll keep going, unless of course you stop breathing, then it might stop, okay? That works really fast. And it works really fast because it has so much to do. It's non-cognitive, you can't control it through thought. Happy with that? Brain 1. Brain 2 is really interesting. Brain 2 is the way you perceive and see the world. And you do it very quickly, and it's subject to a terrible thing called bias. In fact, as you walked into this room, you'll have scanned the room, you'll have looked around, and you've looked at people and you said, are they normal? Do they look okay? And if they look okay, world will go on. However, if Brain 2 says it's not quite normal, it will have a chat with Brain 1, and it will say to Brain 1, this environment in which I'm in is not my normal environment. Get ready, because there could be some activity. Now, that activity typically is to run away from it, or to flop and pass out, or to have a fight with it. Anyone that walked up these steps will have felt it. The president, where's the president of Badminton Scotland? Where is he? Is he still here? He's gone. He's fleed. He's run off. Yeah? But what will happen is as you come up these steps, Brain 2 says, this isn't normal, what's going on? Heart rate increase, blood pressure go up, get ready to fight or run. Yeah? The fight or flight response is not accurate, but we'll do with it, okay? Your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure goes up. The second thing Brain 2 says is, if it's not normal, be ready, are you capable of dealing with it? Now, if the brain says you are more than capable of dealing with it, you're highly skilled, then you will be excited but not overloaded, so you'll feel okay. What happens though is the perfect storm. When Brain 2 says this world is not normal and by the way you're rubbish, what do you think happens then? Brain 1 says get out of there as fast as you can. Get the heart rate going, get the blood pressure going, and most importantly, it says Brain 3 does not need to be involved any longer because Brain 3 is cognitive. It does thinking. If you need to run away really fast, you don't want to do any cognition. Let me explain what I mean. I'm going to try and bring this to life for you. Who in this room is normal? No, you're not normal. You're definitely not normal. Okay? You see, normal is me. I'm normal. And you'll say, no, I'm normal. Just to prove to you what happens when something abnormal happens and Brain 1 activates and your heart rate changes and things go a bit AWOL, I was going to be a bit odd with a few people. In fact, I'm going to be odd with you, if that's all right, and with you, sir. Would that be all right? Okay, don't worry, it doesn't hurt. I'm just going to come and say hello. Would that be all right? Is that okay? With you? Yeah. Okay, just going to say hello. Hi. Is that all right? That was Brain 3 said, yeah, it's okay, don't say anything. Brain 2 is going weirdo. Can you give me some advice, because I'm about to say hello to this lady here and I don't want to be perceived abnormal. What would be the normal way to greet someone around here in the badminton world?
I guess you finish off that action.
Shake. Do I need to say anything?
You don't need to. You could
Say hello, okay. Anything, eye contact, do I need to do anything there?
That's usually quite normal,
Quite healthy. Healthy eye contact. Okay, I'll try that. You ready? Say hello.
Hello.
Say hello. Say hello. What now? You, what else? What do I do now? Oh, right. Right, I apologise. That was abnormal, wasn't it? That wasn't what you were expecting to happen, and as a result, you were very polite, but what do you think brain 2 was doing? Bit odd, bit odd, bit odd, get ready, this is a little bit unusual, yeah? And that's what brain 2 does. Brain 2 says if this is not normal, be ready to get going, and if you can't cope with it, hit him or run away. You could both cope with it, so you didn't hit me, that's great. But when brain 2 says there is a problem, it's not normal, it activates brain 1. That sets off the heart rate, the blood pressure, and lots of things happen which you will recognize as coaches. If you are going to run or fight, where do you want your blood? Well, I don't know about you, but I don't want my blood up here because this part of my brain is really slow, okay? Now think about this in terms of evolution. If there was a lion or a tiger at the side of this stage, just imagine if I used my cognition and my brain power to deal with it. This would happen. Hello everybody, I'm from Health and Safety. I'm sorry to disturb John's session, but I wish to make you aware of the presence of a wild animal at the side of the stage. Please note it has reticulated canine teeth, indicating it's carnivorous. Its eyes appear fixed, indicating low blood sugar levels. Its terminal velocity is greater than that which we can run. Therefore, we need to develop a strategy. Don't worry, we've identified an effective strategy. It's to get ahead of the slowest person. Okay, so if you could then calibrate your running speed, yeah, it's great, it's good strategy. But as we all know, the best strategy rarely suffers the first contact with the enemy. How many of you as coaches have discussed a great strategy, a plan, and then the player walks onto this strange area and their brain says, this isn't normal, I'm not sure if I'm good enough, and the strategy simply goes out the window. And you have a coaching moment, time out, what happened to playing on the backhand? Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Because actually what happens is, when the brain says this is a risk, this is dangerous, it takes the blood away from the upper cortex and it sends it into the major muscle groups. So your body is ready for fighting or running. It takes it away from the stomach. Has anyone had butterflies before a big game or when a player's playing? Yeah? That's the blood leaving your gut. Because you don't need to digest food when you think you're going to fight or run. In fact, some of us, certainly in the world I've worked in, we have pressure-induced evacuation, or voiding. Has anyone heard of that? You may know it's a different colour and different smell, yeah? But people are sick. That's the blood leaving the gut, but the blood also leaves the upper cortex, the thinking part of the athlete or the coach's brain. And so, as a result, a lot of upper cortex activity stops, just like it did when you shut your eyes. The things that stop are your peripheral vision shuts down. Because if you are my threat, there, I will lock into you, sir. Because that's not normal, right? You've got a dress on. Okay? So my peripheral vision now closes down and I can see you really clearly. I can't see you and I'm not bothered about you because there's the threat, okay? So that's what I need to focus on. So my peripheral vision is purely on you. My vision goes up, the acuity of my vision goes up incredibly, and there's a reason, because if I could see a tiniest synergistic muscle of him move, it is a precursor to him moving towards me. So I can predict when he's going to move. This is quite interesting if you're in the world of sport. Wouldn't it be good if you had the ability to predict a particular movement before they move, purely based upon synergistic muscles that activate before the prime mover goes? Well, I can do it. If I think you're a threat to me, I'm going to keep really close eye on you. But as a result of that, what do you think happens to my hearing? Once I've got a visual cue on him, I don't need to hear anything. The world goes quiet. So that all my presence of mind can be on what he looks like. My ability to talk drops. Have you ever dealt with an athlete whose ability to talk or articulate an argument just drops off? They say, why did you do that? You as the coach say, why did you do it? They go, what's your name? And they actually do. They will, under significant pressure, lose the power of speech. They will lose their emotional awareness. They may do silly things. I watched a World Cup football final. Do you remember that? France playing. And one of their players, Zinedine Zidane, I'm sure, at the half-time interval, was not instructed by the coach, what I suggest you do, before 10 minutes before the end of the game, I wish you to go up to the centre forward and headbutt him straight in the chest. Do you think that was part of the strategy? No, that was brain 2 talking. Brain 3 was not thinking because that person said something to Zinedine Zidane that he perceived to be a threat. His cognition shut down because there was no blood going to it, and he did something silly. So this is how the brain works under pressure. Before a game, we can talk about many things. We can think about many things. But if brain 2 perceives something as a threat and doesn't have enough self-confidence in its own ability, it will cause frontal cortex shutdown. That is the theory. Would you like to experience it? Because unless you experience it, you will forget it. The way that brain 2 remembers things is not by writing stuff down. Brain 2 works purely on the creation of neural pathways through emotional events. Let me explain very simply what that means, because it's critical in terms of coaching. If you say to a small child, "Don't touch that, it is hot," do they say, "Thank you for that coaching input, I will not touch it"? What do? They touch it and they go, "Ow!" Do they touch it again? No, because it hurt. And it will remember, that hurts, I won't do it again. Here's the problem. Brain 2 remembers things that create neural pathways. The things that create neural pathways are invariably negatives, things that hurt. This idea that we're all meant to be calm and relaxed and confident and happy is a lie. Because relaxed, confident, happy Homo sapiens got eaten by the wild animals before they could pass on their happy, confident genes. The things that the brain remembers are typically the negatives, unless we can create massively positive experience and make them huge. Otherwise, the brain will remember the negatives. Let me prove this to you. I want you to think back to your days at school. Who do you remember? The nasty teacher that did one thing, or all the good teachers that did lots of things? Invariably, the memory is created by just one negative. Now, it's no good me telling you about this because it's going into brain 3. I need to get you to experience something to brain 2. Are you willing to try this out? Okay. As coaches, I'm sure you've done lots of work on your values, the values of a coach. Yep. And the idea is that we identify a set of values that if we behaved in accordance with these values, we would drive success for our athlete. Yep. This is where you get involved. So I want you to tell me the sorts of words that you would like to be described as, in value terms, by your athletes. What words would it be? So we just need a microphone there, so I think we've got a role model. Yeah, role model. Anything else?
Knowledgeable.
Knowledgeable.
Inspiring.
Inspiring. Oh, I'm liking this. Anything else? Oh, this is a problem. Sitting there quietly, we don't want to talk, do we? Let me ask you a question then. How many of you would like to be described by your athlete as honest? In fact, stand up if you think and you would like to be described by your athletes as, "My coach is honest, I can trust them." Please stand up if that's how you feel. Look at that, fantastic. Brilliant. Good. This is really good, yeah? Sit down if you feel, no, don't, not yet. Sit down if you feel there is anything more important than being honest with your athlete. In other words, you would lie to them if this circumstance arose. For the rest of you, honesty matters, yeah? These liars all sitting down. Okay, that's great. Stay standing. I'm going to select 2 people from each group, okay, from this group or this group. Was anyone born in January? Was that a scratch of the ear or, no, I don't want to do it. Anyone born in January? Do it standing up. February? Would you like to do it? Would you like to have a learning experience? Please come up. February? March? No one on this side is now born. April? May? June? Right, one of you two, who wants to do it? Yeah, come on out then. Come on out. Okay? So you'll need a microphone here. And could this gentleman have a microphone as well? Lovely. Thank you very much for coming up and getting involved. Where are you from?
From Peru. Peru.
Peru and?
Germany.
Fantastic. Okay. So here we have two coaches. Please have a seat. We have two coaches here that fundamentally believe that honesty is a value which you think is really important. Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah? You sure? Okay, good. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. That's fantastic. Let's just define what we mean, okay? Is honesty and fact the same thing? So is it possible for you to be honest and wrong?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah? So it's your opinion? Yeah? Okay. Is it possible for you to be honest if you don't have all the information?
Sorry? Yes.
Yeah?
Subjectively,
If you
yes.
don't have all the data, can you still have your honest opinion?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, that's good. As a coach, do you value feedback?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah? What sort of feedback do you like?
The feedback from my players, maybe.
Yeah? Do you want
Sure.
them to be honest or dishonest?
Honest, for sure.
Honest feedback. Same for you?
Yeah, their perceived feedback.
Yeah? And as a group, what sort of feedback do you like? Do you like honest feedback or dishonest feedback? You like honest feedback. This is fantastic. Have you heard the thing about you judge people by the first 7 seconds you see them?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
happens.
Sort of, yes.
Yeah. It's not nice, but it's true. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of an exercise. We've got here two coaches that value honesty. What I want you to do is I want you just to go out and look at your group over there. Just have a good look at them. And you're going to do the same with that group over there. I want you to identify the one that you think looks like a really good coach. Not on the basis of all the data, but they just look right. They've turned up looking like a coach. All right? So just go out and have a look. You have a look. Just pick the one you think looks most like a coach, okay? Just see which one we think it is. If you pick one up, don't say anything, just identify them in your head. So have a look. Yeah, it's all a bit biased. But have you picked someone?
Yep.
Yeah? And have you picked someone?
Yes.
Yeah, well done. Okay. That's great because that means you're judgmental. But we are, as coaches, we are. Yeah? And you've picked the person you think looks most like a coach. That's great. Now what I'm going to ask you to do is now select the one that, if you've got one at the top of the list, you must have one the bottom of the list. So now what you're going to do is in here, you're going to pick the one that looks least like a coach. Just avoid any lingering eye contact, all right? Just pick the one who's at the bottom of your list, would you? Pick them out. Don't say anything, just do it in your head. Okay?
So being honest can hurt.
That's not relevant. Just pick the one who's at the top and the bottom of your list and put it in your head. And as soon as you've got it, return to the stage. As soon as you've done it, return to the stage, okay? You done it? Off you go then. You done it?
Yep.
Good, come on. So fantastic. We've got two coaches that have told me, they've told all of us, would you agree, they think honesty is important. Yeah? They like honest feedback. They recognise that honesty and fact is not the same thing, and you can be honest without having all the data. Great. Okay? Let's now experience what happens when you're under pressure. What I'm going to give you both the opportunity to do now is to identify the person who is at the bottom of your list and then give them some honest feedback and tell them how they can improve as a coach.
You go first. It's your turn.
Right, stop. What's happened? Are they being honest? No. Why not? Because they're scared. Yeah? Because as you intimated, honesty is not always that good idea, actually. It might hurt people.
It's not a good idea, yeah.
It's not a good idea.
I don't want to tell nobody that. It's not.
So what was happening in their brain too? Their brain too said, as I come up, this is okay, I can handle it. And then it started to build, and you start thinking, oh God, this is not normal. I'm up on a stage by myself. I've now put myself in a situation where I'm going to have to be honest. We walked down there, and you went, top of the list, no problem, I can do that. Bottom of the list, you went, oh shit, no. True?
I think he was looking at me.
That's all right.
When you said who's the bottom of the list, he was looking at me.
Yes.
Brilliant.
You're right.
Have a seat. Thank you
Right,
very
thank you.
much. Well done. Thank you very much for doing that, because those two people have just had an adrenal experience. Hopefully you will remember that and recognise that whilst in brain 3 we say honesty is really important, when it comes down to it under pressure, we weren't brought up to be honest. How many of you in this room were brought up to be honest? Not on the basis of what you were told, but on the basis of the experiences you went through when you were young, because that's what creates your value system, not what you think, but what you've experienced. I was brought up to lie. I was brought up to be dishonest. I have a mother and a father who I love dearly, but for 13 years of my formative life, they told me that a man came down my chimney every year and delivered presents. They lied to me. They further lied that there was apparently a fairy who took away my teeth and gave me money. Now, I'm having fun with you there, but there's a real point here. That actually, there was one occasion where I came down to the kitchen, there was a piece of cake, last piece left, and I was hungry, so I took it and I ate it. My mother came down and she said, "Who's had the last piece of cake?" So being naive, what do you think I said? "Yeah, that was me, Mum." Now, if my mother had really valued honesty, she would have said, "Well done for telling the truth. We value honesty in this family. It's central to our values and our core. It's part of our character." That's not what happened. I got a clip round the ear and said, "Don't take cake without eating it, you little bugger." And my brain said, "But I was honest, and I've just been hit for it." See, what determines our deep values and our character is not what we think, but it's how we were brought up. Now, this is critical if you're coaching athletes at the top level, because this little space that is mapped out on here, it's just a game, isn't it? It's just a game. Not if your brain 2 says, when I step onto here, I could fail. And if I fail, that will be terrible. This is not normal. I'm scared. I'm worried. I'm lacking confidence. And suddenly, our character traits come out. And if our character traits are not supportive of a successful performance, we're in real trouble. And I've seen it, you've seen it, highly talented, skillful athletes who are brilliant here. And what happens when they go here? What happens to their skill and competence, which is, by the way, a brain 3 learnt trait? One of the key things I suggest we need to think about as coaches is not just the skills and the tactics, but do they have the character developed off the pitch that they can bring onto the pitch, which enables them to manage pressure. And therefore, on this part of the court, they're able to still remember what you talked about in terms of strategy and tactics and small changes. So for me, if you want to win and get a performance, it starts at the formative years with young coaches. This is a real problem, because when you're coaching young people, if you're not a really bright coach, you will coach them to win, not to develop their character. For me, the best development for character is, yes, to step on here and lose or win. That doesn't bother me. What bothers me is, do you have the experiences that help you to learn that actually it's just a game? Because it's only brain 2 that makes it important. Has anyone died doing this as a result of losing one of these games? Has anyone died? Has there ever been threat to life? It's fun. Just imagine if every player you coach said, "I cannot wait to get out here. This is the normal world for me and I'm really good. Let's have a game." Do they stand here and go, "This is abnormal. If I lose this game, it could be terrible and perhaps I'm not very good, and crikey, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God," and they start to shake with fear? If you want an athlete that steps onto this part of the court, this part of the pitch, at an Olympic Games, wherever it is, they need to have developed the character off the field. So as coaches, we do have a responsibility to develop tactics and skill and competence and fitness and all those wonderful things. What we also have to do is create the character of success. The only way we can do that is by giving people experiences which are powerful. If we can do that, we can make a fundamental difference to our ability to perform and win. Because I would suggest that the difference between success and failure is no longer the level of skill at the top level. They're all pretty skillful, aren't they? At the top level, they're all pretty skillful. They're all fit. They've probably all got a physio and a master, and they've got all these wonderful things. The difference at the very top level when it comes to winning is their perception of the environment and their character. So with this in mind, I decided to do a bit of research with this group here called UK Sport, and I wrote to as many Olympic coaches as I could, and I said, look, what are the characteristics of winners that you would look for? And what I'd like you to do now is have a conversation with the person next to you and discuss what are the characteristics here that you would like your athletes to take here. Just have a quick conversation about that, and then I'm going to ask you to give me some feedback. The characteristics that you want to develop off the court, that they would take them onto the court and enable them to be successful. So would you have a quick discussion about that and see what you come up with? Yep, have a quick chat. Okay, so what do we come up with, coaches? What are the characteristics that we need to develop, particularly in young athletes? Let's go around the room. What have we come up with? The ability to reflect. Yeah, and I'm going to come to that. It's a really interesting one. The ability to reflect. Yeah, what else? One lady over there.
Every time you do something.
So giving maximum effort on a regular basis. So can we call that hard work and intensity? Okay, well hang on to it. Let's call it maximum effort. It's yours. Okay. Maximum effort, reflection. What else have we got?
Relaxation. Relax.
The ability to relax. Yeah, okay, we'll come to that. So we got 4 at the moment. 2. Okay, so we've got not afraid to lose, yeah, and take on challenges.
Yeah.
Right. Yep.
The ability that they can solve problems. They have a good decision making when
So-
they're inside the court.
Problem solver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ability to enjoy the game.
Loving the game. They actually love badminton. Self-belief or the belief in the opposition?
No, self-belief.
No, but that's important to define, yeah? So it's self-belief.
I would put going with this
Honesty?
lady,
Sorry, no.
like being proactive. So
Being proactive.
Yes.
Yeah? Jumping up and saying, right, I'll deal with it. Right, okay, let's have 2 more, sir. Willingness, yeah? Yeah, the willingness to have a go, yeah? And 2 more, we'll do you and then you.
The ability to regain focus.
Okay, to regain focus, to be distracted and come back. Cool, last one.
Having fun.
Having fun, so we'll put that over here with loving the game, yeah? Okay, now we could go on and we could come up with lots. It doesn't really matter what they are at this point. We could go off to a university and they could do an analysis and blah, 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 and they'll come up with a list. Yeah? Let's not worry about that. What I want you to think about as coaches is if you've got your own ideas, how do we make it happen? How do we give them the experiences that they learn this? So let's take having fun, enjoying badminton, I want you to reflect on your own coaching session and think, did the kids love it? Did they really love it? I don't know badminton, but I've worked in a lot of other sports, and I've stood watching sessions which were fun. And you don't need to be a brilliant, eminent psychologist to work this out. How can you tell if children are having fun? How do you know if kids are having fun? Cover your eyes, and how would you know if we were having fun? Just try it. Cover your eyes. No, not the smile on their face. Laughter. Laughter. And I have seen, I kid you not, coaching sessions where the coach said, right, stop laughing, stop messing about, we're here to do some proper coaching. And I thought, no, one of the competencies, have fun. Have fun. So you're given experiences which make it fun, which means that it may be, what do kids do to have fun in your game? What do they do? What do they love to do? And this isn't because I know, I'm asking you, what do kids do to have fun and love your sport?
Talk and be distracted. Talk and be distracted by
They want to have a
others.
chat.
Yeah.
What do we do as coaches when they start having a chat? Stop that. You're not here to have fun. Do this properly. Yeah? My sport mainly was rugby, and I've seen people kill fun. We turned up, we didn't have a ball. So you know what the kids did? They started pretending they had a ball. And the coach said, that's ridiculous. He basically said, don't have fun and don't use your imagination. Let's think of another competence that we could work on. What was another one that we had? The ability to refocus. What activities could we create in a coaching environment that would cause kids to have to refocus?
Games that they have to think. The games that they have to think about.
Yeah. So we say, there's a game, you have to find a way to win. And as coaches, what do we do? But what do we actually do as coaches? Right, come on then. What you need to do is you need to move that microphone up a bit. That's it. Move it up. Now move it down a bit. That's it. Okay. You can't do it for yourself. I'll tell you what to do because I'm a coach. All right. Do you think you could actually work it out for yourself? Of course you could. Yeah? So sometimes as a coach, the best thing we can do to develop character is turn up and go, we did this once, and it actually was with a badminton coach. And he wasn't from England, and he said, do you know why the English always lose at badminton? I said, no. He said, because you always play games like this on the beach. Yeah? He said, you can never win where you hit it up. He said, there's only one way to hit it down. That's how you win. Is that true? So I said, okay, how are you going to create a game that's fun, that forces English kids to do it? And he said, underwater badminton. No, I'm serious. Think this through, okay? If you put small children in a swimming pool with water up to here and say, let's play badminton, what do? Because they're problem solvers. See, even the man with the microphone knows. How do they do it? And then how do they play badminton? And what happens if we make them play with their left hand and their right hand? Because I'm always fascinated that we think they're right-handed or left-handed. Why would we not say there's no reason why you can't be both-handed? I'll tell you why. Because as coaches, we think we need to win, so you better play with your better hand. No, play with both hands, at least until they're 14. Why not? Is there any rule in badminton that says you can change hands? I had this challenge when I worked in international cricket, and a pretty poor coach, his name was John Buchanan. He ended up coaching Australia for 12 years and was the #1 test match nation player in the world. He said something to us when I first worked with him. He said, we should get all kids to bowl and bat left and right-handed, because there's no rule that says you can't change round during a game. That would give us 11 left-arm bowlers and 11 right-arm bowlers. If you're not getting runs with your left hand, you change and use your right hand. Guess how they're playing cricket now? See, I think if we start considering not the tactics, but the character of an individual, adaptability, creativity, imagination, fun, I think we might have a chance. But it has to be done early. And as coaches, we have to give up winning early. and say, develop character. Because then, when they step on that court with the character of the ability to, I can't wait to play this afternoon, and if there's a problem I can adapt and change, this is going to be really enjoyable, it's going to be fun, it's going to be exciting. I think their brain too says, World Championship, brilliant. What do you think happens to their confidence when they're not looking at the coach all the time? Just think for yourself. I think it's really worrying when an athlete is involved in the battle and they look at their coach. Because that means they have not been coached to problem solve, to work it out for themselves. Did anyone watch the European Championships at athletics? Do you watch the pole vault? The saddest thing I've ever seen. Athlete. This person is about to run up with a big pole and try and jump over a high stick, right? And they're asking the person sitting, who's a bit overweight, a bit old and fat, how to do it. Who should be the person who feels, I can do this? I've worked it all out. I've got the character and the capability to overcome difficulties of wind and rain and competition and trying to achieve a personal best, something I've never done before, but I believe I can do it. I've been in an environment where the coach says I can do it. I believe in my own ability. So, I was asked to come along and talk a little bit about coaching character for winning performance, and I can't tell you what those games and activities and off-court and on-court activities should be, because you have the innovation and creativity, the cultural awareness to work out games which some people, particularly parents, may say, it's ridiculous, why are you doing that, it's stupid. No, it's not. Because some of the best things you can do, other people will not understand and may consider stupid. But you are taking the longer picture. You are coaches that believe in development of the individual. And I would suggest, as in most sports, a better person makes a far better player. I would encourage you to help your athletes to develop their character, the characteristic of winners, which will enable them not just to be successful in this bit of the world, but in the world in general, so that when they leave this court, they have the competence and the capability to continue their success without a badminton racket in their hand. Folks, I think my time is up, but I'm very happy to take easy questions.
Thank you. Stefan Lutkan of Germany. What would be the characteristics of a players based on your experience in different sports that are crucial that we as a coach have to consider? So one person is successful off the court as on the court.
Okay, I thought someone might ask it, so I just referred to the top few from our research, and they were resilience, bounce back ability, the ability to have a knockback and get going again. That's a really easy one to train off the court, because you can do stuff to them, means they have to get up and get going. The next one was confidence, self-belief, not arrogance, self-belief based upon hard work. So you build up your confidence because you keep working hard. The next one, I think someone had this, was coachability. The ability to listen, learn, adapt, and progress. Hard work. We had hard work, didn't we? Someone said hard work, I think. The other one was a problem solver. That whatever they did, they were always seeking to solve problems. And the last one, most important one, was the ability under pressure to use reflective practice. To actually stop and think in the moment, okay, what happened there? Okay, I understand that. What can I do about it? The ability, in the heat of the battle, to reflect, to consider and apply. Even when the brain is going, you've got to win, you go, interesting. That pause. That's the one I notice in the really top athletes, is the way, under extreme pressure, And they have a little laugh, thinking, oh, that's funny. That's interesting. Right. Okay, let's go again. So that would be my answer, those 5. Okay. Pleasure.
Peggy, I'm from Hong Kong. Quick question. When you said start young, how young are you referring to? Kids?
Wow. Well, there is research that indicates, while still in here, not me obviously, but in there, that the character is, some of character is DNA based, so mums and dads. But effectively, children have mirror cells in their brain, they'll start to imitate mum and dad from a very early age. So character is built from, we're not really sure, neuroscientists are still not really sure, they are not really sure, but character is developed as soon as they are born, if not before in terms of DNA. So there is evidence to say that if a child is subjected to an environment in the womb where the mother is very anxious, the mother will be secreting adrenaline and cortisol, and that would affect the child, and they may well come out with a likelihood of anxiety, quite possibly. But in terms of coaches, any age will do. Any age will do. So long, if it's fun, well, I've got a little niece who's 1. She has fun now. But I've spoken to her mum because she said, stop doing that, sit properly. I said, what's sit properly? You know when they eat, kids, what do we do to them when they're eating? And they laugh. That's not appropriate, don't do that. Well, within reason, but very early, very early. That's not playing badminton very early, or rugby or cricket or tennis. It's character development very early. Sorry, it's a long answer to a quick question.
Hi, Hong Yan from France. So I was wondering about when the kids were young, then they don't want to already, like my son, he's 4 years old and he's already don't like to lose. I mean, if you say, oh, go run with the other kids and see who is the fastest, and he will say, no, I don't want to lose. But if you say, go run fast with him, play, and he will run very fast.
Don't confuse win and lose with compete.
Yeah.
So I'd say, well, you may not like it, but you're going to have a go, because the character lesson for you is to get used to, you may win, you may lose, and if you don't like losing, you better get used to it, because if you want a career in sport, you're going to lose more often than you win. That's the nature of it, isn't it? So make him compete, or her, I don't know if it's a boy or a girl. I'd say make them compete and then reflect upon the competition. Was it as bad losing as you thought? Well, I didn't like it. Okay, what can you do not to let it happen again? But there's one way not to lose. Do you know the best way not to lose? Don't take part.
Yeah. So that's what we're trying to tell him, that it's normal you losing and winning. You can be good in something and maybe
Oh, no, I don't have a problem. No, make him. Because you've got to have a go.
Winning and losing, pushing him
you can't just pick the things you want to do. Yeah. So, you know, this idea that, find the thing they enjoy, great, but also do the thing they don't enjoy. Because welcome to life. You're going to have to do stuff you don't enjoy. That's the character. You may have to play in a game where you're tired. Is anyone here badminton players? And you're tired? Oh, you don't have to play. If you're tired, have a rest. Do you have to do it when your body is aching and your knees going, no, don't do it to me again? You go, no, you've got to do it. You've got to overcome it. Willpower. So those are the lessons. And if they're harsh, they'll learn them faster.
Thanks for that advice.
Tough mum. Have we got one more, is it, Ian? How are we going on? Yeah?
Yeah.
There you go.
Hi, John. David, Scotland.
Which country are you from?
Scotland.
No, I'm just kidding.
I tell the kids, this is 12 years and younger, I tell them to try and not be too emotional on the court, to try and enjoy it, but keep themselves restrained. You know, not to celebrate every point as though it's the last point, because there's only one last point, and not to get down because they're losing. Is that the right advice or is that the wrong advice? Because
All I'd suggest is telling them will make no difference at all. How do you behave when they do well? Do you stay steady? Do mum and dad stay steady? Because that...
No.
Right, okay. So actually what you're saying is be welcoming. Yeah, no, come on kids, be welcoming. Do you get what I mean?
Yes.
Because the way we coach kids is not what we say. Remember, under pressure, they won't remember it. They won't take it on the court. So if they go on the court and you want them to be calm, World Championships. Wonderful opportunity. Even though inside you may be going, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, you've got to act. The best coaches sometimes have to act, well, we lost and it was a terrible decision by the referee, but we have to accept the decision of the referee. That's just how it is, bastard. Yeah. But I would suggest whatever you want them to learn, you have to model.
Oh, well, that's good, yeah.
And you've got a bigger job, though.
I do.
Mum and dad.
The honesty question earlier, I do lie constantly. You know, I do lie to the kids constantly. Tell them they're doing great when it's average, and I do hide emotions.
Yeah.
You know, I don't show the emotions when they lose or when they win. I say, well
do
done,
you want
or
them,
unlucky.
right, so what you're saying is you're teaching them to hide emotion, or do you want them to...
I hide them. I hide
yeah,
my emotions.
that's what you're teaching, hide your emotions.
Yes.
Is that what you want? Do you want them to hide their emotion, or do you want them to be aware of their emotions and to manage them effectively?
Yeah, that's...
So, if you want them to do that, you might say, I am really angry, but I'm keeping it under wraps today. So, I don't have a problem with showing emotion, but it's how you then manage it. So you could say as a coach, I have to tell you kids, I'm really angry. I am incredibly angry. However, I'm going to be enthusiastic now. And they go, what? But you're really angry, yeah, but I'm managing. That's the lesson they learn. Because they learn at level 2, emotionally, that's how they learn, by watching and observing, not by being told.
Okay.
Okay?
Thanks very much.
I think my time is up. So at this point, I normally thank you for inviting me, but you didn't. Ian and John, you invited me. Thank you very much. I hope you found that useful. Cheers, folks.